who feels himself so secure, or is so well satisfied with himself, that he is no longer conscious of other emotions. Poor fellow, I commented aloud, as he folded up these words. He reckoned without you, George. By tomorrow he will be in the hands of the police. Poor fellow, he repeated. Better say poor Miss Challoner. They tell me she was one of these perfect women who reconcile even the pessimists to humanity in the age we live in. Why anyone should want to kill her is a mystery, but why this man should, no one professes to explain him. They simply go by the facts. Tomorrow surely must bring strange revelations. And with this sentence ringing in my mind, I laid down and endeavoured to sleep. But it was not till very late that rest came. The noise of passing feet, though muffled beyond their wont, roused me in spite of myself. These footsteps might be those of some late arrival, or they might be those of some wary detective intent on business far removed from the usual routine of life in this grand hotel. I recalled the glimpse I had had of the writing-room in the early evening, and imagined it as it was with Miss Challoner's body removed, and the incongruous flitting of strange and busy figures across its fatal floors, measuring distances and peering into corners, while hundreds slept above and about them in undisturbed repose. Then I thought of him, the suspected and possibly guilty one. In visions over which I had little if any control, I saw him in all the restlessness of a slowly dying down excitement, the surroundings strange and unknown to me, the figure not, seeking for quiet, facing the past, facing the future, knowing perhaps for the first time in his life what it was for crime and remorse to murder sleep. I could not think of him as lying still, slumbering like the rest of mankind, in the hope and expectation of a busy tomorrow. Crime perpetrated looms so large in the soul, and this man had a soul as big as his body. Of that I was assured. That its instincts were cruel and inherently evil did not lessen its capacity for suffering, and he was suffering now, I could not doubt it, remembering the lovely face and fragrant memory of the noble woman he had, under some unknown impulse, sent to an unmerited doom. At last I slept, but was only to rouse again with the same quick realization of my surroundings which I had experienced on my recovery from my fainting fit of hours before. Someone had stopped at our door, before hurrying by down the hall. Who was that someone? I rose on my elbow and endeavoured to peer through the dark. Of course I could see nothing, but when I woke the second time, there was enough light in the room, early as it undoubtedly was, for me to detect the letter lying on the carpet just inside the door. Instantly I was on my feet. Catching the letter up, I carried it to the window. Our two names were on it, Mr. and Mrs. George Anderson, the writing Mr. Slater's. I glanced over at George. He was sleeping peacefully. It was too early to wake him, but I could not lay that letter down unread. Was not my name on it? Tearing it open, I devoured its contents, the exclamation I made on reading waking George. The writing was in Mr. Slater's hand, and the words were: I must request that the instance of Coroner Heath, and such of the police as listen to your adventure, that you make no further mention of what you saw in the street under our windows last night. The doctors find no bullet in the wound. This clears Mr. Brotherson. End of chapter 3.